I've been waking up at 3 a.m. for almost 1000 days. For me it's of course morning, but that's not the point. The reason for this choice is to allocate personal time for yourself and spend a lot of time outside the information noise. But during this time I was faced with a great lack of sleep, a constant bad mood, constant weakness, drowsiness, which is why I began to forget what happened in the past days.
Так, это 15-й день, когда я встаю в 3 утра. Вот так выглядит 3 утра.
I started doing this due to poor progress in my studies and my affairs, but it was possible to shift the time to the evening, but then my head was always busy, so I decided to get up as early as possible, in order to have time to do all my business in the morning.
И после уже пробежки я иду делать английский, изучение и чтение. Для меня это самые важные вещи.
I began to like living in such a time. There is no one distracts, you are with yourself, but the difficulty of the waking up was high. It was difficult to get up, and all this was accompanied by lack of sleep.
Morning is my favorite time, but sometimes it's really hard to do something at that time. And one thing I realized is that the harder your morning, the easier your day. And I keep this rule in my life.
For about 1 year, I lived in this rhythm. Went to bed around 8, 9 o'clock in the evening and got up at 3 o'clock. I didn't live alone, and therefore sometimes it was very noisy. Sometimes the lights were on, sometimes the room temperature was very high, which made it impossible to sleep, and all this took away my recovery hours. It took about 5 months to adapt to the early bedtime. Before that, I just lay in bed until 9 p.m. and couldn't sleep. When I went out for a run, I could barely run. My heart rate was elevated. It was difficult to breathe, and all these symptoms didn't give me anything at the time, until my body began to miss alarms and miss getting up.
Уже 2 дня подряд я ложусь спать. Ну просто я лежу и засыпаю, и потом просыпаюсь в 7.
Then I really thought about adjusting my schedule. There were thoughts of shifting everything back to 5, 6 in the morning, but I wanted to maintain the schedule. So I started studying sleep and intended to bring the schedule to one where I could get enough sleep and feel good, even if I wake up at 3 a.m. This is where my journey in studying began.
Самое главное это встать и не ложиться. После этого ты просто не ляжешь.
The first thing I did was decide on the time to fall asleep. This was important. Then I followed simple and basic rules such as darkness, coolness, and silence. Only after a year and a half did I begin to delve even further into the details, where I built a whole schedule based on my dream. Start eating at least 2 hours before bedtime, exercise at least 1 hour before bed, turn it dark and lower the brightness everywhere at least 30 minutes before bedtime, and block the blue spectrum of light. But then I was very deeply disappointed, since all these rules didn't give the desired effect. Sometimes I got enough sleep, but more often than not, I was also broken. There was almost no effect at all, but I started sleeping a lot more, from 7 hours, and my condition naturally improved.
Это уже настолько привычно делать это, то есть там в 3 вставать. Как бы тяжело, да, тоже дискомфортно, но ты это делаешь уже не задумываясь. То есть ты взял и сделал это.
I didn't manage to get up at 3 o'clock every day. Sometimes I got at 4, 5, very rarely at 6, after huge loads at 7, but basically 84% of all my rises over the last 3 years were at 3 a.m.
Сейчас 3 утра и вроде нормально себя чувствую. И думаю, продолжай в таком темпе. Сейчас я пошел делать уже утреннюю рутину, поэтому вперед.
Somehow I decided to continue to follow the rules of sleep hygiene. For some reason I believed and hoped that adaptation was not given quickly and that adjustments need patience. In the second year, something started to change. I really started to get enough sleep more often and feel great. Enough recovery, I started to feel energetic, not drowsy. Recovery also accelerated. Although in terms of getting up, I constantly feel stressed. It's very difficult. I understood that times play a role here. Shifting my body's rhythm to such a wide range was a difficult adaptation, but it happened thanks to sleep hygiene. Again, not all days were perfect. Every detail played a role. Sometimes some kind of food disrupted sleep, sometimes activity exceeded 10 hours and sleep was also disrupted. Sometimes there was a lot of anxious thoughts. Sometimes there was a lot of noise from neighbors on holidays. My sleep was affected by many factors.
The great solution if you don't want to wake up is to sit down or lay down back to your bed, but turn on the light, because only light can make you alarm.
The second year was significantly different. I already saw what affects what exactly need to be avoided, what to implement even deeper. In general, there were a lot of details that were worth working on.
Now it's 4:08 a.m. and it's been about 30 minutes since I was tired.
Over this year, the consistency of getting up at this time has increased significantly. During the period of major preparation, I took a break, but then I returned again. Only I decided to try to go 3:30 in the morning, where I still keep this sequence.
Sometimes the feeling of fatigue lasts a long time, but in general, after 10 minutes, I'm already alert.
I also thought a lot about how those very hours that I didn't sleep influenced the normalization of the schedule in general. I spent about a year and a half following strict rules to normalize my sleep. Since before that, I could sleep 3, 4 and 5 hours a day for an extended period. Therefore, if you take out a loan, you will pay much more.
For like now, it was hard to wake up. Look at me. So when I wake up tired and switch the light, after 15 minutes, I feel great because the light is naturally for waking up. And this feeling of tired in the morning tells you about you are in a deep fast, and to get out of it, you need to light.
Even when I'm sick, I don't want to sleep at the afternoon. I don't want to nap. I don't have a need to this. I mean, I don't think I have any sleep problems. Yes, sometimes I sleep bad, but it's also about anyone.
And thus, at the moment, I have been getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning for about 3 years. I still get up a little tired sometimes, but it only lasts from 20 minutes a day, where I then have so much energy that I don't even need a nap during the day. There is still an increase in results, both in running and pull-ups and push-ups. I mean that my recovery is going well. The play of light and the activity of the body is important here. The earlier there will be a need to go to bed. The less activity in the evening, the slower the activity for sleep. And so it is in the morning. With this video I want to show that you can adapt to a really different schedule, thanks to studying and following strict rules on an ongoing basis over a long period. The most important, accessible and simple thing you can do today to improve your sleep are: first, reduce the brightness on all gadgets to the very minimum. Turn on the night mode of the devices and leave only one light source in the house. Make a fairly dark room. This will help your body begin to slow down vital process and begin to put the body into sleep mode. As before, we were guiding not by time, but by light and darkness. Second, do not eat 3 hours before bedtime and make the last meal light, vegetables, fruits. Therefore, food triggers actively process in the body, digestion, and for sleep, on the contrary, you need to slow down all systems. Thus your interference with sleep. Its quality will decrease greatly, no matter how much sleep you get. And third, keep the room cold, because if it's hot, and this again shows the body that the body is active. When we are active, the temperature is high. When there is no activity, it's low, since blood flows into the body at different speed, different period of activity. By airing and cooling the room, you create favorable condition for the body to fall asleep. When night came, the heat from the sun also went away, and we slept in cold. By adhering to such simple rules, you will already improve your sleep, so keep going.